Yes, Madhulika, please start. Unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. This is Madhulika, and I welcome you all to yet another Zoom webinar organized by Jungle Bells. So, what is Jungle Bells? Jungle Bells is a Pune-based venture exclusively designed for women and started by women Hemangi Vartak and Aarti Karve. What we do, we conduct women-only trips to all the wildlife destinations across India. Also, we conduct nature-based tours in and around Pune. We work in collaboration with InSearch Outdoors and Aranmay Wilderness Safaris. We have many upcoming events. We have trips in the month of June and July. The trips are Jim Corbett National Park, Spiti Valley Tours. We have fun fairs. So we have many activities going on throughout the year. For further inquiry, you can connect us on our social media pages. Also, we will ping our details in the chat box. Before we move ahead, I request all of you to please switch off your cameras and turn off your microphones so that we all can enjoy today's webinar to the fullest. Today's topic is Tales of Conserving Forest, and we have a very special guest speaker with us. His name is Mr. Kedar Gore. Welcome, sir. Talking about his work profile, yes, he has over 25 years of experience in the conservation of threatened species, restoration of habitats, nature-based solutions, and community-based natural resources management. He is a member of the following committees. First is IUCN Commissions, CEC, SSC, and WCPA. He is a member of Governing Council of the PNHS. He is a member of Conservation Fellow of Born Free Foundation. He is a member of Board of Studies of SIES College. He is a fellow of the International Visitor Leadership Program, US Department of State, and a NU FFIC Fellow of the Government of the Netherlands. He has previously worked with WWF India and TERI. He has been working for the past 15 years as a director of the Corbett Foundation. Furthermore, he has been honored with the first IUCN CEC Excellence Awards 2019 for South and Southeast Asia and the Century Wildlife Service Awards 2023. So this is all about his aspiring journey. Without a further ado, let's get started. I request Hemangi ma'am to take the conversation ahead with sir. Welcome, sir. Good evening.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Kedar. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. What about me? Am I audible too?
Yeah, you are absolutely audible. So a welcome, very warm welcome. So as I had discussed over the call with you, we are a Pune-based venture. This is more for awareness and to reach out to people, what work you do, and you're really, you've devoted yourself to this. So I think people should also know what all you are doing presently. So, let's start with the question and answers. Okay, let's keep it simple. So, what is your connection with wildlife, and how did you start, and how did you come all this way?
Okay, firstly, I would like to thank Jungle Bells for having me on this this webinar. It's great to connect with an organization that is exclusively doing tours for women, and I'm glad and privileged to be a part of this webinar. Now, to answer your question, I belong to Konkan. My native place is in Ratnagiri. From my maternal side, it is Ratnagiri. From paternal side, it is Raigad, Murud Janjira, to be very precise. And in Ratnagiri, it's a very, very quaint little village called Dorle, which is extremely beautiful, located next to Muchkundi Creek and all the Konkan hills around, mangroves. So, I mean, during vacations in my school days, that was I spent a lot of time in this village, and that I think uh, really inspired me to be in the field that I am today. As a schoolboy, I never thought that I would work in this field, but then you are always intrigued with and excited to look at all the beautiful birds. The most beautiful bird and exciting bird that I liked in those days, and I still like, is the hornbill.
Right.
There were quite a few Malabar pied hornbills in that area. Unfortunately, the numbers have gone down in the last few years, uh, and that's how the journey of wildlife started. My uncle, my maternal uncle, Mr. Manor Harsikar, who unfortunately is no more. He was the man who really, uh, I mean, probably he realized that this fellow can do only wildlife conservation, and then he should be pushed in that direction.
Right.
So as a small kid of probably 10-year-old, I was given a pair of binoculars and the book of Indian birds, and then he said, okay, go and let's go in the forest and try and see how you can spot birds and identify with the help of this book.
Right.
So the journey started like this. We explored a lot of areas in Konkan, the famous Sada region of Konkan.
Right.
uh, that time it was a hobby, which to an extent I regret today, to pick up the stones and try to see what is beneath the stones, the geckos, the spiders, and all those creepy crawlies. That was all exciting and excitement that made me do what I did. uh,
Right.
and then these explorations, as I grew older, when I uh, joined the college, uh, then eventually I became a member of BNHS, as a student member of BNHS, which is Bombay Natural History Society,
Right.
Asia's oldest wildlife research and conservation organization, of which I am a part now, in governing council member. So I joined that organization. I started going out with them on their nature walks, and then I got in touch with uh, Dr. Deepak Apte, who was the
Yeah.
education officer then. Uh,
Right.
I started going out with him as a volunteer for his camps and his educational tours that he took for school children and others. And then when I did my MSc again, that whole passion continued. Uh, and after doing my MSc, by that time I made up my mind that okay, this is something that I love doing, and I should first explore if I can get a chance to be in this field
Right.
in whatever capacity. And
Mm.
in those days, I thought I would do some research, but which eventually I did to an extent. But I started off with, I landed up a job in WWF India. One
Okay.
fine day, I saw an advertisement. My friend, in fact, showed me the advertisement. I applied. I got the job, and in 1996, in November 1996, I joined WWF India. And after that, I have always been in the field of nature conservation, environmental sustainability, uh,
Right.
with WWF India, then Vasant Shet Foundation, then Terry, and since last 15 years, it is the Corbett Foundation. So
Okay.
that's how my little
Right.
journey, career graph is, as far as wildlife is concerned. Yeah.
That is very humble, Kedar. I don't think we do an iota of anywhere, people. I'm not saying what you're this thing, but you've really got yourself committed to this all and you're going further. But just to add to this, that when you started liking nature,
Hmm.
um, you didn't think of going the other way in the sense photographing and getting into it, but you thought of going towards the conservation angle or working for it. So how did it come? I mean, how did it start liking, or how do you feel that I should rather get into conservation side rather than just photograph?
See, my job, uh, I mean, what I did in WWF India, I was an education officer.
Right.
And so I, my job was to conduct nature camps, nature trails, uh, organize events that would raise awareness about wildlife and nature and everything that existed around. While doing that, I got an opportunity to interact with probably thousands of kids. I used to go in schools and colleges and talk to students, and those interaction always led to a discussion on conservation. So, and I personally believe that uh, conservation should be the ultimate goal of whatever we do
Mm,
in nature. Even if
absolutely.
we are appreciating nature by way of wildlife photography, or going on uh, safaris, or seeing tigers or other animals,
Right.
we must all be mindful that all this would be good if there are right kind of policies, if conservation is happening at a grassroots as well as at a topmost level. Only then we our children, their children would be able to enjoy what we
Absolutely.
have enjoyed in our lives.
Yes.
And so it was always a conservation was a choice. I mean, I never thought that I should do anything else. uh,
Right.
I loved photography, uh, and but I love conservation photography more. But in those days, uh, and to an extent even today, cameras were so expensive.
Very,
I
very
didn't I didn't have a camera then. I mean, we had hot shot kind of
correct. Correct.
aim and shoot camera, but
Right.
very late in my life, my wife she gifted me my first SLR camera,
Oh,
and thereafter I started doing wildlife photography. I still do. I have now a camera, and I do go with the camera whenever I visit any wilderness area. But I never go with an intention of purely photographing nature.
right.
It
Right.
is incidental. You go
Correct.
with the purpose of thinking about conservation, what you can do next to ensure that whatever is there around is
Right.
conserved, is protected, and how that can be done is
Correct.
something that always plays on my mind, and that's how
Wonderful.
I did what I've done. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really wonderful. So, coming to we've covered the next question more or less. So, coming to the next one. So, typical this thing of the challenges faced during this your entire journey till now. You can just quickly tell us about
So the
your
biggest challenge,
sorry, yeah.
sorry, your voice is cracking. Either my connection is not good or
Am I
somewhere
audible
there
now?
is a problem.
Is it
You're audible, but there
yeah,
was some.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So the challenges you can just share with us you faced along this journey.
Okay, okay. So the biggest challenge that we faced then, and even we face even today, is to get across the message of conservation
Right,
uh, to people. And when I
right,
say people, it mostly is obviously general public like you and me.
right.
And then the conservation has to be, I mean, the conservation message has to go to our policymakers. And
Absolutely.
this is where the challenge is, because
Right,
most of the conservation projects are looked upon as anti-development,
right.
which isn't true at all.
Yeah,
However, that is how they are viewed. And whenever we say, okay, there's a tiger corridor here, and I mean a wildlife corridor here, and
yeah.
project should not come here, or should be, we should look at some alternative sites
Right,
to have these projects. It is always looked as, okay, you guys are only stopping development in this country, which is absolutely untrue. I would say total nonsense. There are people, uh, many people, researchers, conservationists, who have tried to reason with the policymakers and uh, tried to convince them that there are alternatives to this. Number one, uh,
mm,
you can have mitigation measures and also have developmental projects. It will cost more, but then yes, that's a cost you have to pay to conserve nature, because nature conservation is also development in my humble opinion. So that has to be borne in mind, and only with that we have to look at our country progressing. Other thing is, which is very important, is there are certain areas which are absolutely no-go areas. Now, tomorrow, if we find that there are some very important minerals below Kana Tiger Reserve or Corbett Tiger Reserve,
mm.
are we going to, uh, you know, start mining there and forget
Right.
about
Yeah,
the
correct.
precious wildlife and nature that exists there? No, we are not going to do that.
Yeah,
Can we think of anything, doing mining or clearing an area below Taj Mahal?
mm,
We can't, because
mm,
those are very precious things that our country has.
right,
So we should have equal importance, or rather more importance, to natural areas, because that
right,
is where we get our oxygen, we get our
right,
food, we get our medicines and everything. I mean, there are so many ecosystem services that these natural reserves provide, and we cannot just ignore them in our
Correct.
quest for development. So this is one of the challenges that we all have faced
Right.
in all these years, and they still continue. In fact, they have become still worse now.
Yeah.
The other challenge I would say is because all these projects that conservation projects that we do or intend to do need funds, and
Absolutely.
generating funds is a big challenge. Now, generating funds purely for wildlife conservation purpose is a bigger challenge,
Right.
because the results, there are no tangible results most of the times. I mean, if you conserve a forest, you will see a forest even after 10 years, but the
Correct.
the benefit that forest will provide
Right.
as through its ecosystem services, is it's not easily tangible. So
Correct.
if people see that this is making a difference, okay, they are willing to shell out funds. So anyways, I mean, these are two major challenges I think I have faced. Otherwise, it's been a great experience. And yeah, I mean, as a conservationist, many times I come back home and sleep peacefully, knowing that I have at least done something meaningful
Correct.
in
Correct.
preserving this country's great natural heritage.
Wow. That's so wonderful. So just to share, I mean, we are very, very new. I mean, we're just 4-year-old company. And when we started, uh, it was basically for women. But we thought that why not we were going to forest, and me and my partner Aarti thought, why not give something back to the forest from which we take a lot. So after going and coming back, it's loads of oxygen, it's a detox time, it's a completely you're freshened up a lot. So then we started with the small measures, and I think it's slightly getting into this thing that people are also contributing via their means, smaller drives, donation drives or things like that. So in our way, we started, and there are a lot of people coming forth and helping us. So hopefully, it will, uh, the magnitude will increase, and it will also help to the kind of efforts that you people are doing. So it's really wonderful. Uh,
Glad to hear
so these were we spoke about. So, what is Corbett Foundation? I mean, what is it all about? What is about it?
So Corbett Foundation is a wonderful organization, not because I'm working in that organization, but it indeed a very unique organization which was started by a very well-known industrialist who unfortunately is no more now, Mr. Dilip Katau, and his
Okay.
wife, Mrs. Reena Katau. So
Okay.
they both founded the Corbett Foundation in 1994. That was the World Earth Day. In fact, yesterday, which was the
Okay.
World Earth Day, we
Wow.
completed 30 years.
Okay.
And so it was started with the main goal was to mitigate human wildlife conflict and to ensure that people and wildlife live in harmony and
Right.
coexistence. So, since it's, Mr. Katau and Mrs. Katau, they both loved going into the wild, and Corbett National Park was their famous, retreat, I should say. And because they were so uh, blown away by the beauty of this park, they decided that their organization should be named as the Corbett Foundation.
Okay.
And so our journey began in 1994 in Corbett National Park. And we had a modest beginning, and we started looking at human wildlife coexistence. So there were uh, very hardcore grassroots conservation projects
Okay.
planned, and the 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 biggest plus point I think with this organization is they always plan projects
Okay.
which involve the community, the local community in nature conservation. And that's very important, because if we want to do any kind of conservation anywhere in this world, we cannot just ignore the people who are living in that landscape with in nature. So
Right.
their participation and their support in conservation is absolutely a must, and that's what I think uh, is the main thrust of all the programs, conservation programs that the Corbett Foundation does. And so after Corbett, we started off in the dry habitat of Kutch, which is the Corbett was tiger, elephants, and great forest. Whereas
Right.
in Kutch, it was completely a different landscape with grasslands and semi-desert areas, and it was land of it still is land of the great Indian bustard, one of the
Right.
most critically endangered bird today in
Right.
India. So we started off in that area, and eventually we started expanding our operations. We started working in Madhya Pradesh, then we started in Assam and in Maharashtra. So today, as I speak, we are in 6 states, uh, working in around more than 9 conservation landscapes. More than 850 villages are a part of our programs, and thousands and thousands of people have benefited so far, because we have programs that cater to all the basic needs of the people that are living in those areas. Uh,
Right.
we recognize that they're living in difficult situations, they're living in remote areas, they don't have easy access to medical and veterinary and education and other stuff, and that's why we have programs, dedicated programs, to provide them these facilities, so that they in turn support conservation. So we have a
Right.
full-time medical program happening, we have a full-time veterinary program happening, we have diversified into sustainable livelihoods, we have also included programs like habitat restoration
Right.
since last 7 years. And so we kind of have developed uh, different kinds of solutions
Right.
to address the conservation issue under one roof. And all these solutions are tailor made, which are local specific, and we have demonstrated projects that are easily uh, scalable and easily replicable in other landscape.
Okay.
Excuse me, other similar landscapes. So I
Mhm.
think this makes the Corbett Foundation quite unique. And but we are not only doing work at a grassroots level, we are also working at a policy level, especially our work for the conservation of great Indian bustard and lesser florican uh,
Right.
is at a very I mean, I would say national and international scale, and we have raised this issue at many forum, and there is a public interest litigation going on right now in the Supreme Court of India,
Okay.
on conservation of these two extremely
Yeah.
uh, endangered birds, and
Mhm.
Corbett Foundation is one of the petitioners. So that's how Corbett Foundation works, and I'm indeed very grateful that I've got this opportunity to be a part of this organization, and I
Right.
thank Mr. and Mrs. Kra for this. Thank you.
All right. That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful initiative. So you spoke about the man-animal conflict and things like that. So it was a very. I would just like to share that I was talking to one of the senior forest officials just my last visit in Nagpur. I had been,
Hmm.
and Shailesh sir Tembhurnikar, who's
Okay,
the yeah who had
this is here.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. So I met him in Nagpur, and I was extremely so the he said, Himangi, I'm not going to use the word man-animal conflict. I would love to use the word coexistence from now on, and from whatever tenure mine is left, I would like to concentrate on that. How? Because that is the journey and way ahead. So this was really something that he really spoke, it touched me, that he changed just the words, and it just became that we are in coexistence and we need to conserve and stay together. So that's the way ahead. So this is I
Yeah.
just by your foundation, you just mentioned that, and I thought I will tell you, but this is just superb. So if someone can outsiders join, since we are talking about the Corbett Foundation, uh, can people like us living in cities help the organization, or lend a helping hand for it, or can we do something for it? So how does this work?
So of course, I mean, any help is always welcome
Yeah.
uh, for any organization. So we are not a membership based organization, so there won't be any possibility of people opting for memberships or any such thing. But yes,
Mm.
uh, we have so many programs. We have a website. One can go through the website and identify what appeals to a particular appeals to oneself. I mean, someone may like livelihoods, or someone may like other programs, or whatever it
Right.
is.
Mm.
And what I believe is every person can help in his or her own way.
Yeah.
Uh, it could be a doctor, engineer, or CA, or artist, anybody. I mean, they have their own skill sets. You just have to identify an area where you can help, and spare some of your time uh, to do that.
Correct.
For example, we need help from illustrators to create some kind of educational material that can be given to distributed among the local communities, so that the message of conservation goes out very effectively. So, or someone making an app uh, to engage young children or youngsters today, because everyone is hooked onto their mobiles and laptops and iPods. So if something can be done as a platform is developed, where children or the youngsters are playing that game or looking at the app,
Right.
exploring the app, at the same time also getting knowledge about conservation and wildlife, I think that helps. Somebody who is a CA can uh, help organizations prepare their balance sheets, or with their accounting, or whatever it is. I mean,
Right.
because organizations like wildlife conservation organizations, they have wildlife biologists and they have conservationists, but they not always have good people as accountants. Of course, we have a great team, and they are a small team but doing excellent work. But
Yeah.
any help will be always useful,
Okay.
and that's why I said anybody can help. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody as a wildlife photographer would like to donate uh, images for a
Right.
particular cause, maybe for a booklet or a book that we wish to publish. So that there are a number of opportunities.
Correct.
It's just that one has to sit together and discuss, and uh,
Yes.
we can evolve any kind of
So
collaboration.
if they want to
Yes,
get in touch with you, since we are right now on social media and on this, and if they want to get in touch for all this, they should go through the website. They should connect through the contact us numbers. Is that what
absolutely.
you're saying? Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
of course, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Let's move to the next question. So, which part of the job do you love the most right
That
now?
it's very difficult to say. I would say uh, I can't single out anything that I love this more than other things, because as I said earlier, my whole mind is full of conservation. So,
Right.
but if you still want me to choose out of what I do, what I really love doing is interacting with kids,
Right.
and that's my I've loved that. I mean, talking to kids, talking to them about wildlife and nature, importance of wildlife, importance of conservation of wildlife, and
Okay.
thereafter the interaction that I have with them. And I think that these young minds need to be molded in a way that they become responsible nature lovers.
Right.
See, nature lovers can be of two types. There is a nature lover and there is a responsible nature lover. You
Yes.
can love nature, you can explore nature, but forget about nature once you're back in your cities and
Yeah.
routine, then that doesn't help. But
Yes.
when you are a responsible nature lover, you will remember that, okay, the water that I get from my tap is connected to that forest. So if I waste it, then there is heavy demand on some forests to create another dam, and then more forests will be lost. So these kind of uh, links or associations with what we do in our day-to-day lives, and what really can be the repercussions of what we do on nature, is something that we need to think about. And
Absolutely.
that's why I said ki responsible nature lover is very important, and
Right.
that's my passion and mission, probably,
Right.
to create as many responsible nature lovers in this country.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So from our side, we had just to share with you, Kedar, we started this in schools where
Hmm.
last year we were celebrating 50 years of Project Tiger.
Right.
So everything was, there was a lot of content in the media about 50 years of Tiger and things like that. So people were thinking it's just another day and, they're celebrating it. And so we also should be this thing. So we thought of going to schools in Pune. We covered around 15 schools and we had thousands of children attending. So we did not speak how the tiger was great. We spoke about how forest is great, and tiger is a part of it. And that's why tiger is there right now. So why we should conserve forests, and how, the tiger habitat is and needs to be conserved. So like
Absolutely.
you spoke about small children, they were so intrigued and very, very happy to know more about, how the tiger kills, how, where does he stay, where is his home. So that kind of a this thing, when you said children right now, I think that is the best this thing. And so women are also more important, because women pass on this legacy to the children, uh, and they can educate them. So we thought of, first bringing the women out. So that's how we work. But it was a great thing to get, interact with the kids. uh, which forests have you explored apart from Corbett, and which are dearest to you, and why? So it's a very,
Again, a very difficult question,
yeah, I know.
because every wilderness landscape is beautiful, and
Right,
so far I must have uh, explored more than 100, 120 forest areas just in India. Uh,
okay,
I would say protected areas. I shouldn't say
right,
forest area, because uh, again, when we talk of wildlife and conservation, the first thing that comes to our mind is forest and tigers and
right,
elephants.
correct,
But what we don't realize, or you know uh, it doesn't strike our mind that uh, other ecosystems are also equally important.
yeah,
For example, the grasslands, the wetlands,
mm,
mangroves, or deserts, hot deserts, cold deserts. So all these are important because they have their unique fauna, flora, and so that conservation is very important of those species as well. Because if we just talk of forest and tigers, then we are leaving out a whole bunch of other species
correct,
which are not found in that landscape.
right,
So I have this passion of exploring many different kinds of conservation landscapes. So I must have been to explored several lakes and several rivers, mangroves. Uh, but if you ask me any other forest apart from Corbett, then I think it's Kana, which is my personal favorite. Uh, I don't know why, but it's I just love Kana more than any other forest. Uh, it is absolutely beautiful, and
right,
I have had my. I'm really privileged that I have been to that forest many times, and also grateful that I have been able to do something for the local communities to protect to conserve the wildlife there, and also work with the forest department and providing them infrastructure support and capacity building and things like this. So it's been a wonderful experience being in Kana.
right,
Likewise, I've been to many other forests
okay.
where Corbett Foundation is, or we are not there, but we aspire to be there.
Right, right. So another nice, I just returned from Kana last week, and they
Okay.
had around, I was around there for 3 days with the safaris. I was with a
Okay.
group of women, and after coming, we did not sight a tiger in that. So yeah, at the gate, there is a lot of hustle bustle saying "dikha kya" and all that, normal layman public. So they asked me also,
Mhm.
"आपको दिखा है?" मैंने, "मेरे को नहीं दिखा." अब मैडम आपको नहीं दिखा, फिर भी आप ठीक हो, ठीक लग रहा है, आप कुछ भी नहीं दिखा. I said, being to Kana is a different ball game altogether, because of the landscapes, the topography, and you just feel that you've enjoyed the forest and come back. So it's not about the tiger; it's about the entire, what you said is the,
True.
yeah. So that's how it was in Kana. Uh, so we move. So we spoke about the wildlife conservation and the hurdles that we are facing. So I'll skip that. And so we know the conservationist Kedar. So he is, you're probably more 24/7 thinking about that. But we would also like to know, Kedar, otherwise, what do you generally do? Your family, your background. So
Okay. So uh, again, my hobbies are linked to nature.
okay,
I love bird watching. So birding is my
lovely.
passion.
Yeah,
So going out with a pair of binoculars and exploring the wilderness quietly without a camera is something that I
right,
love the most. So you don't get distracted by capturing that moment. but rather spend that time in looking at the bird, observing its movement, its calls, or the way it perches, the habitat that it is.
Absolutely.
So birding is a passion. In
Right.
in addition to that, I love listening to uh, old film songs.
Okay.
Uh, so driving is a passion,
Uh,
yes. And my wife, she works with a bank, and
okay.
we met in college 33 years ago.
Okay.
And I have a handsome son. His name is
Okay.
Rajas. He has
Okay.
done his bachelor's in design and works with a multinational company.
All right.
And my father is a doctor. My mother, she worked with a bank, and right now she's both are retired and enjoying
Okay.
their retired lives. So I
Yeah.
belong to a very simple middle class family, and
Okay.
I'm extremely proud of that. And yes, I
Okay.
have a sister.
Yeah.
She has done her pharma management, and she works again with a multinational company.
Multinational. So, any of your family members are also interested in what you're doing? I mean, in the sense,
We
are they
all are.
interested?
Yeah, we all are interested in nature, wildlife. In fact,
Okay.
my family, um, on mom's side, I mean, they are nature lovers genetically. So many
Yeah.
people have that passion to go, and they may not go and watch birds as I do, but then they love being in nature. And
Right.
many of my, and since I being in touch with me and knowing me since my childhood, many of my cousins from my father's side,
Right.
they have started coming with me on several nature tours, and so I have passed on that buck to them, and then now they look forward to
Wonderful.
going on nature tours with me or without me. They just like to go and enjoy nature, wildlife, and I think that's very important because
Right.
uh, you may be working in different professions, but I think nature is
Absolutely.
one arena where all of the people come under one roof and enjoy the tranquility, the beauty, and the the s- the soothing uh,
Correct.
feeling of being in a very very serene place, and
Right.
that's very important.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So, we would like to know your views about wildlife in years to come. So, how are you seeing it with
Sorry,
the
your
we
voice,
would
your
am I
voice
audible
cracked,
now?
so I am not sure what you're audible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you
Yeah.
repeat your question, please?
So, we would like to know your views about wildlife and conservation in the years to come, with the climate change and global warming thing happening side by side.
Well, it's a difficult question. I don't know if I'm uh, qualified enough to answer that because they are very, very, very crucial and critical issues. But nevertheless, I'll admit. Uh, See, one must understand that India is now uh, progressing towards becoming a developed country,
Yeah.
and which is excellent, which is fine. However, we must remember that there are certain things which uh, we cannot play with. Uh,
Hmm.
as far as uh, nature is concerned, there are certain fragile areas. For example, if you're planning projects in Himalayas, then we have
Hmm.
to be mindful that Himalayas is a very fragile ecosystem. We cannot plan the same kinds of things that you would plan in Sayadris, like drilling tunnels and all. We have
Absolutely.
all seen what happened in the tunnel in Uttarakhand a few
Yes.
months ago.
Yes.
Fortunately, the people were saved. However, it could have been a disaster.
Yeah.
My question would be, why would anybody plan a tunnel like this in a eco-sensitive area?
Right.
We have then some of the policy changes that we are seeing in the last few years. Uh, if they indeed happen, then
Hmm.
we will have very difficult times ahead. For example, changes were done to Forest Conservation Act, and 100, all areas which are 100-kilometer distance from our international
Right.
boundaries.
Right.
They were kept out of any kind of Forest Conservation Act provisions. Now that could be a disaster because we have very, very critical ecosystems throughout India, whether it is our coastline or islands like Andaman, Nicobar, where biodiversity or nature is so unique and endemism is so high that we cannot afford to lose those areas. So we
Correct.
need to be very, very mindful of what we are planning. Whether uh, yes, we need infrastructure, we need roads, we need bridges, tunnels, everything. However, that planning has to be done not only by engineers but
Right.
also involving ecologists, biologists, wildlife biologists, and conservationists, environmentalists. Take their opinion, take their views. We are all wanting India to progress as fast as we could, as it
Right.
could. However, we should not make the mistakes that the Western countries have done. We are trying to ape what Western countries have done, but they have done the mistakes. Now they are realizing the mistake that they have done 30, 40, 50 years ago, and they are trying to go back to uh, uh, the nature that it was in its original form. So we need to be mindful of all this,
Right.
and that is how we should, in my opinion, we should progress.
All right.
So any planning must have environmental considerations uh, on it as a topmost priority.
Okay. Okay. So, any message? We come to the last question. You've covered a lot right now in the entire thing, but any particular message that you would like to give to the audience?
Well, what can I say? I mean, most of the things that I've said could be taken as a takeaway. However, I would still want to just highlight a point that uh, everybody can be a nature lover, and everybody can play a role,
Right.
however little it may be, in protection of nature and preservation of an environment. Now
Yeah.
you need to identify that niche where you belong and play your role. It could be saving water, or making planting trees or grasses or other things. Yeah, one thing I think I missed out on this entire conversation is there is a people believe that planting trees everywhere is a solution to climate change mitigation. Now, that
Yeah.
is a myth. That is a
Myth.
myth. We
Right.
should not plant trees where naturally the trees were never there. If
Yeah.
there were grasslands, they
Correct.
should remain as grasslands. Grasses also have equal capacity to sequester carbon. Rather, there is a research has shown that grasslands can be more effective carbon sequestration ecosystems than even forests. So uh, we should understand what is needed in a particular landscape.
Right.
Uh, if there are deserts, they are deserts for a purpose.
That's yeah.
Okay, it's not something that somebody has gone and hacked off all the trees and suddenly it has become a desert. So uh, when planting of tree, and yes, if somebody plants a tree, make sure you take care of that for your life,
Right.
because planting a tree and then forgetting about it uh,
Yeah.
is entire waste of your time, your resources, energy, everything. It will not lead to anything.
Right.
That's what because we see crores of tree plantation drives happening in our country, uh, every year, uh,
Right.
and we have targets like 3 crore trees have been planted, or whatever that high number is. But where are those trees now? Are they living, or
Hmm.
are they even growing somewhere?
Yeah.
If those many trees were indeed planted, and if they were living, probably half of India would have been Amazon forest, right? But
Yeah.
it's nothing like that. So we must not do things for the sake of doing. If you really believe in nature conservation, then do it with your heart.
Hmm.
Even if you plant 10 trees and make
Look after
ensure that
them.
they live, look after them,
Yeah.
that should be good enough. And plant indigenous trees, not exotic,
Indigenous.
yeah,
Absolutely.
don't involve, include any trees that do not belong in this country and in this landscape.
Correct, correct. Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. We have a two, three questions. If you would like to answer them, you can choose not to. Lots of developments as well as resorts have been developed around Corbett as it's, or maybe forest as it's necessary also if we want tourism, which is the base. But how we balance both forest and development around is someone, he doesn't have a name here, so you can.
So, as I understand, I think the question is about you know uh, all the resorts and development that is
Correct,
happening because of
correct.
tourism.
Yeah,
So that's a very uh, it's a very important question actually,
right.
and we see this problem. We are seeing this problem in most of the popular tiger reserves today.
Hmm.
For example, Corbett Tiger Reserve or Kana or many other tiger reserves, Ranthambore. Uh,
Right,
Now, again, there is a policy issue here. Now, if somebody wants to construct a resort, you just have to buy a private land and then construct your resort.
right,
There are restrictions on how you can construct a resort. However, no one stops you from constructing a resort.
correct.
So one must understand that uh, if there is a protected area, all
Hmm.
protected areas need buffer areas, need corridors for their
Absolutely.
wild animals to move to different areas. So
Right.
we should be mindful of these corridors. We
Hmm.
can't have these corridors blocked because of uh, you know uh, our ambitions to have as many resorts as possible, because we see this as a a great opportunity to make money, and that's how
Right.
we
Hmm.
can just create more and more infrastructure so that more and more tourists are coming. Every place has a carrying capacity. There is a
Right.
Supreme Court order already which has allowed only 20% of any area, any forest, any tiger reserve to be used for tourism.
Tourism.
So
Right.
how many vehicles can go? There is a limit to it, and
Uh,
that's how you see that most of the resorts are having hardly about 30-40% occupancy of wildlife tourists. That's why so it doesn't help either ways. I mean, you tourism is useful, tourism is helpful.
Yeah.
Wildlife tourism can be a great tool for conservation because it is giving opportunity for the local community youths and
It's livelihood.
women
Yes.
for their livelihood.
Yeah.
So they benefit, certainly they benefit out of it, and because they are earning through the resorts and through the infrastructure that is created for uh, wildlife tourism, whether it is a gypsy driver or a guide or whatever it is.
Correct.
So they all associate their income with protection of the tigers and nature, which is a
Right.
very good thought, and we must respect that. But
Mhm.
planning is needed. Uh, Unfortunately, most of the times in government departments, left hand doesn't know what right hand is doing. So
Yeah.
that coordination between departments is necessary, where we can allow certain infrastructure to come, and
Right.
that is where the critical issue is.
Okay.
And yeah, so this is a very broad topic, and I can go on and on, but this
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
crux
I
of
can
what the
correct,
issue
correct.
is.
So I think it's the same. It's an extension to the question that we just go. Any take on opening up of all the forests for tourism? Can Corbett Foundation take this aspect with the court, as that's the biggest hurdle to make wildlife affordable for all? Is what Sanjay is
So
asking.
any take on opening up all forests for tourism can cover?
So we
Okay,
just
so
spoke about 20%, right, of the forest now being offered for tourism.
okay, so well, that is a that is a Supreme Court order. I don't think that will be changed. But
Okay.
however, I don't think that is needed also. If you can plan things well, because see, all these popular tiger reserves, whether it is Kana, Bandhavgarh, Pench, Tadoba, uh, Corbett, Ranthambore, they are all doing quite well. And even in this 20%, they are having too many tourists. They are already having their own set of problems. So if
Correct.
we open up the entire forest, then it's not going to help, but it will be having negative implications on the welfare of the animals that are there, as well as the quality of forest. Because
Right.
when you have forests going inside, I mean the vehicles going inside, you have to create roads, you have to create clear some vegetation so that animal sightings are easily done. So this needs some kind of a manipulation of habitat, and it's not advisable that the entire forest area uh, is included for tourism like this. But there
Correct.
are other areas this kind of tourism can also happen. A different model of tourism can also happen in buffer and corridor areas, and that is necessary. So that
Yeah.
planning needs to be done, and if that is done well, I think ecotourism or wildlife tourism can be an excellent tool
Yeah.
for or where the wildlife is protected as well as the local community welfare is taken care
Right.
of.
Thank you. One last question. Dr. Aparna Bagwe says, your views on highways cutting through the forest, putting wildlife in danger. Why don't we create underpasses for wildlife? Why have the trains running through the forest?
Okay, so I touched upon this issue some time back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, now wherever, see, you must understand that when most of the roads that were done about 20, 30 years ago. So in those times, mitigation measures was not even considered or discussed. But now,
Right.
as we have progressed in all fields, so has wildlife mitigations have taken a center stage whenever
Mm.
such projects are being planned. So the finest example, I think, is a national highway that cuts through uh, Pench Tiger Reserve
Bench.
in Madhya
Yeah.
Pradesh and Maharashtra, and
Yes.
of course, the kind of mitigation measures that should have been done are not 100% done. I will say, but even if they are done in a way that they are done in bench, I think
Right.
it has its own own set of benefits.
Right.
And there are even the Samriddhi Marg or other projects that are planned in the recent few years. They have got the mitigation measures already in place when the
Yeah.
project has been planned. So
That's
it should happen in the planning stage itself. Otherwise, it can be extremely difficult and very expensive for the project implementers to include those measures at a later stage of the project. So uh,
correct.
the train tracks, they have been laid many years ago.
Correct.
Those days, I mean, the kind of research that is now happening, people didn't have much idea about what kind of corridors were there, or
Mm.
transition routes of animals. Many times it also happens that uh, animals start taking that route, which
Right.
previously wasn't there. That has happened in case of elephants in many areas. So, uh, and changing anything when that rail track is laid is practically impossible unless you have to completely, change that railway track, because you can lift make a flyover over a road, but you can't do that in case of a train or railway
Right.
track.
Mm.
So all this needs a lot of planning, and but it is happening at the central government level. There
Correct.
is a important document that has been released by the Wildlife Institute of India and Ministry of Environment Forest few years ago. They
Mm.
have laid down uh, uh, what kind of how the mitigation measures have to be implemented in all kinds of infrastructure development, right from roads to rail to canals to overhead power lines, and so it's in place, and that is kind of a bible now for any such developmental projects that take place in India.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that was the last question. Uh, I really, before we have the vote of thanks, I would personally like to say that whatever help you need from our end, from Jungle Bells, smaller help or whatever we can contribute, I would certainly like to come forth, me and my team. So
Thank you
it's
very
not
much.
because we've been doing in our own way. So if we get also, we can help out some bigger organizations in our way, I will be more than happy. So you can, just let us know. Thank you so much. Yeah, Madhulika, you're on mute. You have to unmute. We cannot hear you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for your kind presence and valuable time. We truly appreciate your dedication, professionalism, and expertise in this area of work. All in all, it was a wonderful experience to have you, to listen you as a guest speaker. with a deep passion for forest and its conservation. We look forward to hosting you for our future initiatives. Thank you so much, sir.
Kedar, we have our mentor here on our webinar right now, Sanjay Deshpande. He's in Pune. Sanjay, are you there?
Okay.
Around? I think he's there. Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, Sanjay.
Hi, Kedar. Actually, I those questions specifically means I hope I'm not taking much of your time, and but because you have actually lived inside the bigger forest like Ghana, which is, as you rightly said, one of my favorite also. Uh, my specific question about opening up area was, see, it was not about, because I also traveled a lot around forest, meet people, and has been associated with jungle well since long. The basic problem is, day by day wildlife tourism is becoming only for elite few, very frankly, because one forest safari costs nearly per head minimum 20,000 to 25,000, even if you take 4 safaris also, one trip per head. And for a family of 4, nearly 65-75,000 for 4 safaris in the it is not that easy. And even if you go by canter also, to travel to those destinations, stay, accommodation, it will reduce per head hardly by 5,000 to 6,000. My and this I am seeing, see, you have also traveled a lot in the forest. I have been traveling to Kana when a guy can walk in the forest, and Tadov also, and even two-wheeler also, or private vehicles were also allowed. There was no route system, no zone system. Agreed, that was definitely a mess at a time. But my take was not opening up new routes or something like that. By using existing routes, if we can increase the area of tourism, that will definitely increase gypsy numbers, that will definitely increase accommodation use. There are many properties in Kana or Tadoba which are at sale because of this. The tourist numbers are getting reduced. And then another aspect is, because these destinations are totally dedicated to wildlife, there is nothing means like they are not a fun destination. Be very frank about it. Means so a guy, if he don't get safari ticket, there won't be anybody coming to their that destinations, and then to sustain those kind of development becomes a very, and then obviously those who come, they have to pay for it. So in nutshell, because I have seen a spectrum since last 25 years, that's why my question was, can all those people come together and do something about this to make Supreme Court understand the impact of their 20% decision on entire wildlife tourism? Sorry, it was a bit long, and it was the question, I thought, because Hemangi gave me opportunity to speak.
I thought you were just talking general. You again asked him the question.
No,
Okay,
no, no. It was maybe we can one-on-one catch up later. It's okay. I mean, you can't. You don't have to take webinars time for that. That's
Correct.
perfectly all right. And definitely we will catch up for this question and this aspect. One more thing I wanted to tell you, because you specifically said about kids and interacting with kids. So Hemangi do involve Kedar in our kids fun wildlife fun fair we are planning along with Anuj.
Yes.
That will be wonderful thing.
Sure. I will.
Yes.
Yes. Kedar, that was a long
Thank you,
one. I
Sanjay
think
ji.
connect one-on-one
No,
with
no.
you later.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that, and thanks a lot. And I'm really it's inspiring. We want many more Kedar is all I can say. More than wildlife tourism, that will be a better thing for wildlife conservation is what I will say.
Correct.
There are many people like me, in fact, better than me, who are already in this field, and they are doing wonderful work.
But
And
endangered species, let me tell you very frankly, not a common species.
anyway, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
It was a
Kedar.
pleasure being here, and
Take care.
Thank
Sure.
you all.
We'll catch up.
Good night.
all the
Good.
best to Jungle
Thank
Bell. Yeah.
you.
Thank
Thank
you, sir.
Thank-
Good
thanks.
night. Bye.
Good.
Night.